Vivi lay in her bed wide awake. The moon shone brightly through the window, filling the room with soft silver light. She tried to close her eyes, but sleep just wouldn't come. Vivi looked out through the window. The garden was quiet, glowing with tiny magical lights. They shimmered softly in the night like little stars dancing just for her. Vivi stepped quietly into the garden. She walked barefoot across the soft, glowing grass. It felt warm and gentle beneath her feet, like a quiet little magic. Vivi wandered into an old, hidden corner of the garden. Ivy curled around everything, soft and overgrown. It felt secret, like the garden was hiding something. She noticed something shining beneath a large fern leaf. A soft, mysterious glow flickered in the shadows. Curious, Vivi reached out and gently brushed the leaves aside. She brushed the ivy aside and gasped softly. An old garden gnome stood there, dusty but glowing brightly. It had a red hat and a long, snowy white beard. Vivi gently touched the gnome's nose. For a moment, nothing happened. Then suddenly its eyes opened and it gave her a quick little wink. The little gnome stretched and let out a sleepy yawn. Then, just like that, it came to life. It dusted off its red hat as if waking from a very long sleep. Vivi was surprised, but not afraid. The little gnome began to dance around her, quick and full of energy. It spun and hopped in the most playful, funny way. Vivi laughed as the little gnome tried to teach her its dance. It hopped and twirled, showing her each tiny move. She tried to follow and couldn't stop giggling. The little gnome reached into its pocket and pulled out a tiny glowing whistle. It lifted it gently and played a soft, magical note. Suddenly, tiny glowing lights began to rise from the flowers. They drifted into the air and danced all around them. The garden shimmered softly, alive with gentle magic. Vivi watched in wonder, her eyes shining with delight. She reached out, trying to catch one of the glowing lights. Beside her, the little gnome jumped with pure excitement. The little gnome suddenly had a playful idea. It tiptoed quietly toward the sleeping sunflowers. A mischievous sparkle danced in its eyes. The little gnome reached up and gently brushed the tall sunflowers. They began to sway and wiggle in surprise. Soon they moved playfully, as if laughing in the night. Vivi tried to stop him, reaching out with a gentle call. But the little gnome was already on the move. It hurried toward the pond, where the water lilies slept quietly. The little gnome jumped from one lily pad to another. Each step sent gentle ripples across the water. Soft splashes followed, echoing through the quiet pond. Little frogs rose from the water, slightly grumpy. The gnome smiled and mimicked them. Suddenly, the garden grew a little too lively for bedtime. The sunflowers swayed and seemed to laugh. Tiny lights played their soft, magical tune, and the water shimmered with gentle splashes. Vivi paused and looked around. The magic was beautiful and full of joy. But deep inside, she knew it was time for it to end. Vivi sat down on the soft grass. She gently reached out, inviting the little gnome to sit beside her. Her smile was warm and kind. Vivi began to hum a soft, gentle lullaby. Her voice was quiet and calm, like a whisper in the night. The melody wrapped the garden in warmth and peace. The glowing lights began to slow and drift back into the flowers. One by one, they faded into the petals. The sunflowers gently lowered their heads once more. Vivi gently reached out and touched the little gnome's red hat. Her hand moved softly, full of care. It was a quiet moment of warmth and kindness. The water in the pond grew still, smooth like a mirror. Not a single ripple remained. Beside her, the little gnome let out a long, sleepy yawn. The little gnome leaned gently against Vivi and closed its eyes. Its soft glow began to fade, growing dimmer and dimmer. Slowly it became still once more, like a quiet stone. Vivi walked quietly along the path toward her home. The garden had grown still again. Everything rested softly in the calm night. Vivi climbed the stairs slowly and quietly. She stepped into her room, calm and peaceful. The night felt soft and gentle around her. She slipped into her bed, pulling the blanket close. In a soft leap, her little cat jumped up beside her. Together they settled into the quiet of the night. Through the window, the garden lay quiet and dark. Only a few faint lights still glowed, like tiny stars resting among the flowers. The magic of the night was fading, but not completely gone. Inside, Vivi closed her eyes. A soft, peaceful smile appeared on her face. She felt warm, safe, and gently wrapped in the calm of the night. Outside, the house stood still beneath the moon. The garden slept quietly all around it, bathed in soft silver light. And somewhere deep in the silence, a trace of magic remained.